welcome to episode 7 of El Tortuga Gamecast. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about and give our impressions on the latest video game news. I am your host, Derek. This week I'm joined once again by Cam.
Hi.
And we have some exciting topics this week. Last week we told you that we would be getting back to a lot of the announcements from PAX and the indie game announcements from Gamescom as well. We had the Nintendo Nindie Direct that we haven't really been able to talk about quite yet, so we're going to go back to that a little bit. And then just general, I think, kind of excitement as we get into this holiday season now. You really start to see the video game releases pick up in number to where it's overwhelming. It's hard to keep up with everything, right? Even just this past week, I feel like there's been a bunch. We've seen Destiny 2 release, Madden 18 release with its new story mode. That's kind of cool there, for those interested. And we also saw Knack 2 release, which has gotten some decent reviews. I think a little higher than the first one. Still not outstanding, but this one's being received, I think, as at least good. And then we also saw Monster Hunter Stories released, which is the only one out of that list that I've picked up so far, believe it or not. So another 3DS game, just keeps chugging along. Excited about that one. I like the idea that it's Monster Hunter and that world with all of those different creatures and things that you can hunt down. But with that, it's a different take on it. It's not the action RPG that a lot of us know of Monster Hunter for being. It's more like a collect of different monsters and you can ride them around, and it kind of plays out like Monster Hunter meets Pokemon in like a turn-based collecting kind of game. So kind of cool. And the impressions have been really great on it. Reviews have been pretty high. A little higher than I expected, I think. This one has been out in Japan for a while, at least over a year, I think, now. And you didn't really hear much about it for a long time. It was one that I hoped made it here because I liked the cel-shaded style and graphical look of it. And it finally got announced, it felt like, after forever. But I remember when we were in Japan, we saw the amiibo and things for it there, but those never made it here to America. So just the game, but excited to check that one out. I picked it up, but haven't started playing it quite yet. Just yesterday, I got my hands on it. So that'll probably be one that I jump on with the 3DS soon. There's a lot of news. When games coming out for 3DS still, the system in its last maybe year and a half, who knows. But for right now, it's going on strong. We just got that, and then this month is obviously the huge return of Metroid with the return of Samus. So that's awesome as well. Beyond that, though, let's go ahead and jump into some of those Nindie announcements that we didn't quite get to talk about yet. There's a list. In the past 2 weeks, there's been, 40 so indie games announced for the Switch. It's just nonstop. You feel like you hear about more and more every day, and that's just so great to see for Nintendo. Clearly, very real support from these indie developers.
Yeah,
Nindies,
great.
Right?
Yeah.
There's been proven now, I think, that there's a real opportunity on Switch to really be promoted and do well there. It's a platform that people are excited to get these kind of games on. So that's great to see, where I feel like that was the PlayStation 4 at the beginning of its life cycle, and now you've kind of seen Sony shift its focus to bigger games. They're promoting Destiny and they're promoting Call of Duty and things like that, not so much the indies right now. So Nintendo kind of taking that over. But a lot of these games, they'll be multi-platform. It's just Nintendo kind of giving a big push. So we associate it with them a little bit right now. But looking at the Nindie Direct, 19 games here. I'll just kind of go through the list. Some will probably say some on, some we may just kind of give a brief mention to.
Yeah.
Just depending on our own excitement.
We definitely both have tops that we want to talk about more.
Yeah, I think a top 3 or 4 each that will really stop and be like, this is why I'm excited. But for the most part, we'll just kind of talk about them a little bit. They started out the presentation with a big name, and that is Super Meat Boy Forever, which is just announced as 2018 right now. It'll come out sometime next year. This is the sequel to the incredibly well-received Super Meat Boy. This felt like one of the first indie games to really break through back on Xbox 360 and make a name for itself. If you're not aware, it's a 2D, old-school-looking platformer, incredibly hard. That's what it's known for. You're going to die a lot, but it just respawns you instantly and really gives you that feeling of, I'm just going to give it one more try. So Super Meat Boy Forever is a little bit different take on that. This is a constant runner. Now, not an endless runner, not see how far you can make it in the level. There are levels. It's not just get a high score for surviving as long as you can, but it's a constant runner where you're not in direct control of Meat Boy this time. He runs, and you jump or duck and slide or punch enemies out of the way or jump through obstacles as you go. So it's kind of like the Bit Trip series, which is really popular on Nintendo consoles. We see Runner 3 coming to the Switch next year, I believe, as well. So more like that than it was the original Meat Boy. So I think the reception's been a little lukewarm because of that. I think a lot of people wish it was more like the first Meat Boy. We've already heard that the original Meat Boy is coming to Switch as well, and I might be at this point a little more excited for the original than Super Meat Boy Forever, but there's still a lot of time before it comes out, it seems, and maybe I'll kind of change my mind. It still looks cool, I do get that kind of nostalgic feeling because I love the original.
It's got really gross sounds.
Yeah, it's known for that, and the sounds and blood, and he's that like uncooked meats where he runs. There's like the red blood path on the ground, or if he hits a saw, it just shoots blood everywhere. That was definitely part of like how they got attention. So kind of, I guess, violent, but it's not really violent either.
Not really. It's just like it's noise stuff like that.
Gross noises.
And the squirting and...
Yeah, I've heard it compared to kind of like Binding of Isaac. It's not as gross as that, though. But it's kind of like that idea, I guess. But Binding of Isaac is definitely grosser.
It's like gross to the point where it's funny, you know? Like, because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. So that was where they started. I think that was smart to start there. It's a well-known name, and it was cool. It was kind of one of the bigger, I would say, 4 or 5 announcements in here as far as name goes behind it. That's a pretty well-known thing. Then they moved on to another big one, the Shovel Knight King of Cards expansion. So for the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, this is the final piece of DLC, at least new character DLC, that was promised back when Shovel Knight was such a huge, massive success on Kickstarter. This was one of their stretch goals, that they would add these new campaigns, and we saw Plague Knight first, and then we saw Spectre Knight, both of which have been awesome. I've played through all of Plague Knight, a little bit of Spectre Knight, still finishing that one up, but the King of Cards you get to play as King Knight. So that looks great, what we come to expect from Shovel Knight, some different abilities for King Knight. Looks like it's a prologue for him as well, talking about how he became one of the Order of No Quarter, how he became King Knight. So you're like figuring that story out, and there's like a card battling game in it too. That's what they call it. That, so adding in and building on that kind of card battling game craze that's going on right now with Gwent and everything else. So that looks cool. Always excited for Shovel Knight. First time they've really shown off King Knight. And then after that, we moved on to Mom Hid My Game.
Oh, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
But I was a big fan of the... way back in the day when computers were still really big. Those escape the room
point and click
stuff
kind of
you could find
adventure
online for free or whatever.
Yeah.
I really liked those, and it kind of reminded me a lot of
Definitely. I guess this one is actually, I didn't realize at the time, but has already been released on maybe phones and tablets on iOS Store. Now it's making its way here. The concept is funny. It's very simple looking 2D hand-drawn art, but your mom hides your little handheld video game in different places in the house, and you have to figure it out by pointing and clicking. And where could it be? Maybe it's in this vase that you have to break, and then it's in there.
Sometimes they I know at least because it reminded me so much of it in the Escape the Room or whatever games. You would find a piece of paper, and then you'd have to I know there was one that was super ridiculous where you had to create a seance, and it but you're having to combine all these different things that you find, because in the beginning it's I hit the crocodile's mouth, it opens, there's my game, and then it gets more and more complicated.
Yeah.
You're having find stuff, and then it doesn't immediately match up, so you have to save up items and then
multiple
combine,
step solutions. Yeah.
Combine them all, so it ends up getting probably really complicated and ridiculous. Right. Is what I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not always just hey, click on it when you see it. It's not I Spy. It's more complicated than that. But the thing I liked about it, the thing that stood out the most, was that in every one of the scenes you could see the mom hiding somewhere watching you, maybe peeping through a little hole in the door, or hiding behind a lamp. She's in each image as well.
So I wonder if you have to if she comes into play more than just being the one that hides the game.
Oh, I don't know.
If it's in that Wario game.
Oh, the Wario,
yeah.
Game and Wario.
Yeah, if the mom is looking through the window, you have to hide or whatever. So I wonder if there's any elements to that kind of make the mom more character, or if she's just this
just there.
Yeah, or where she's the Muppets, where all you ever see is her legs, if it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That Gamer was what it was called on the Game and Wario. Right? The one where, the Muppets, yeah. The Gamer
that could be wrong,
guys,
Wario,
sorry. I love that. That was definitely the hit of Game and Wario. That game was so much fun. We had to sneakily try to play these mini games and then hide it when your mom came in the room, or she couldn't catch you. We still had to survive these mini games. That was such an awesome idea for the Wii U. One of its best uses of the dual screens. Just this one little mini game. So it'd be cool if it was like that. I'm not sure. We'll see. That one didn't really pique my interest too much. I was kind of okay. Seemed like the first lower point for me.
I like it as a simple.
Yeah.
But I like those more simple games.
Yeah. And then next they moved into what might be the one I'm most excited about, definitely in the top 3, is Golf Story. So they picked it up heavily after that one for me. I was so excited about Golf Story. It just looks like your Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color style, classic graphics, top-down RPG. So you're playing golf in it, but it's Golf Story, like they say. And it is. I get Pokemon kind of vibes from it, where it's that top-down. You're going around talking to people, figuring things out. So it feels like an old school RPG, but rather than turn-based battling, your action is playing golf and like timing your golf shots and lining those up. So I think it looks so awesome. Reminds me of the Mario Golf games back in the day where they were more of an RPG and your character got better as you played through, and there was a whole story, which this is going to be about villains and things like that. It almost seems like there are different golf courses where you have to beat some evil person at each golf course, and it's almost like comparable to gyms in Pokemon, where you're beating those gyms, but just playing golf rather than battling. So this one looks awesome. Coming September, this month, to the Switch. I cannot wait. This is one I'm going to be playing a lot, for sure, as soon as I can get my hands on it. One I'm very excited for. Then they moved on to an interesting one. Floor Kids, which is this holiday, 2017. This was the one with music by Kid Koala, and the music was like my favorite part of the trailer. It was kind of cool. Yeah, I didn't know. I've heard it before, but I'm not really familiar. And this is like a breakdancing rhythm game. So I just think the trailer was hard to understand for this one. Is the main thing for me.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, is it just like hitting the buttons at the right time, or is it more than that?
I'm thinking. At first, it was difficult to understand from the video, and I think that's the main problem why some people are kind of iffy on this one. It could end up being cool, but it's hard to tell what the game is from the trailer. It shows you in action. It looks kind of cool, like that hand-drawn style. There's a lot. The music is cool. The style's cool, but it's hard to tell what the game is. But what I'm thinking is it might be more like a Tony Hawk style game where like you have to press a certain button combination in rhythm with the music, and then like they'll pull off these different dance moves. Because they're saying you can like pull off moves.
Like a dance, like him versus her type.
Yeah, there's a competitive and there's a single
fighter,
like
but dancing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There's a competitive you can play against someone, like you and I could compete, or you can do like the story campaign mode, and I think that's more you on your own, but trying to beat a score and things like that. So there is some way to accumulate score. It's definitely going to be rhythm based, so it's about keeping the beat. But I think you can change up the dance moves, is what they made it sound like. Yeah. So you can like choose your own. So it could be cool. It's one that I don't know. I'm excited to see impressions. I think it would really
pop it, twist it,
yeah,
it.
Maybe. I think it could really benefit from a demo. This is the one I could see. If there's just a short demo that lets you understand what it is, because right now I'm not sure, and I think that's concerning a little bit.
I worry about that mechanic getting boring.
Sure, yeah, it could. It all depends on the price point for this one and everything, and who knows.
Right.
But we'll see with that one.
They didn't release any of that information, right?
No, not yet. Okay. Yeah, so that one we'll see. But that's not too far away, holiday this year. So coming up in the next few months. Then we also, next they moved on to Wolverblade, which was a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, kind of like the arcade classics, but this is set in historical Britain, and you're fighting, against the Roman Empire and things like that. So I think it looks cool. Not thrilled on that one. The art style kind of looks like your old computer game, cheap, Flash game a little bit. And I think that Flash game thing is iffy for me. I can get into indies doing classic look, and I like when they do hand-drawn and stuff, but when it looks too much like a Flash game, like the animations aren't that smooth, that's iffy. That makes it seem kind of lower budget. And so I think that's something that doesn't usually appeal to me, but this one could be cool. The historical element does appeal to me, but we'll see on the gameplay. You can play as different characters. A beat-em-up side-scrolling. I know beat-em-ups aren't really your favorite, certainly, style game. Yeah, so I knew that one didn't really catch your eye too much. Then we moved on to Polybridge.
To be fair, I do like watching you play a lot of games. It's just if I'm playing it, I'm a little more particular.
Sure, yeah. No, I get that. It's just not your style as much. Where I can get into it. I used to play. I
think a lot of it. What I noticed most about, and this is totally off subject, but what I noticed most about when I talk to you about the games that I like to play versus the games you like to play, a lot of it is influenced by the games that we played when we were kids. And for you, it's you only got a game once a year, and for me, it was very similar to where, if I did get a video game, it was every once in a while, and I played the living daylights out of it.
Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of the games that you just happen to have as a kid, and the ones that I happened to, were very different.
Sure.
And I think it still shapes, because it's always, when you're playing video games, at least for me, it's always that bit of escapism. So it's like, it's nostalgia and escapism, and it like reminds me of like a simpler time and all this other crazy stuff. But,
Yeah, I would say
I find that I just never played those type of games.
Yeah.
When I was getting into, like when I first started to love video games. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to get into them, for me at least.
Sure. Yeah, the big ones, the big franchises I see myself, like kind of the gameplay styles that I'm drawn to are more like platformers and RPGs, and I know those aren't usually yours. Mm-mm. Yeah, not your favorite. But this one, we'll see. That one, I think, like I said, historically is interesting. I'm not so sure on the gameplay yet. Then they moved on to Polybridge, which was like a puzzle solving, building a bridge to get a car across this chasm. didn't really appeal to me too much. I'm not really into the building kind of games. I know there's an audience for that. Cool. I think I've heard that one's well received, so great, but not for me. Then Kentucky Route Zero. Confusing for me in the trailer. I had never heard of this before. Now, after the fact, I've heard that this was a big hit, indie hit on computers, and it's a story-based game, and there are 4 parts, and now they're releasing the 5th part finally. People are really excited. It's been years in the making, but this is one I guess I'll kind of wait and see, but I'm not usually into the point-and-click adventure, so I don't know. We'll see on that one. But I know there's a lot of excitement, so that was a pretty big announcement. I think that was one of the bigger announcements of the Nindie Direct, certainly. Then we moved on to Earth Atlantis, which was the...
Woo!
Yeah.
That looks fun.
Yeah, this was the first time during the Direct where I saw you kind of be like, this looks cool. Like, it kind of piqued your interest more than
I don't
stuff.
know that the gameplay, I don't know if I'd be that good, because it seems like a lot of very quick movements where you have to...
Heavy, yeah.
where you have to just be real good mechanically, and I'm not as good as you are mechanically. When it comes to, the very quick...
Reflex games are not really your... Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it. Thank you. But the art style, this reminds me, it's just it's like a old school hand-drawn architecture renderings and stuff like that, and I really like
pencil sepia tone.
Yeah, thank you. So you always have the better name for it.
Yeah, pencil drawn.
So it's like anime cartoony, and you're like, well, that's cel shaded.
Yeah, sure. Just terms. But I get what you're saying. This one is appealing to that. I've also heard, which I didn't catch from the trailer, but that it's almost like Monster Hunter-esque in that you go through and you're fighting and surviving in this underwater. You're a submarine fighting, but you're looking for these huge...
Yeah, they said that you find big underwater monsters.
Yeah,
and,
half
hunt them
mechanical,
down.
half sea creature, so huge squid or huge sea turtle, and you have to hunt them down, and they're the bosses effectively. But that could be really cool if it's really boss focused. That's what's so great about Monster Hunter is it's boss rush mode constantly. You're just fighting boss after boss after boss, and there's no filler other than preparing to fight a boss, So that could be cool. This one did catch my attention from a gameplay perspective, and the art style is cool. We've seen the sepia pencil drawn a couple times before, Gunman Clive on 3DS was awesome about that. That one was what drew my attention to that one as well. So this could be cool. That one is just fall, so not too far. Then we had Next Up Hero, this is from the developers of Scribblenauts, so pretty well known. This is one that is isometric viewpoint, kind of very bright, vibrant colors. They said it was early 2018. The premise, basic understanding, is that it's a lot of action fighting in that isometric Diablo kind of camera. And when you die, or your friends die, you can kind of revive their spirit, and then they'll fight along with you. So it can be you and this huge army of ghosts. It makes me think of Lord of the Rings, with Aragorn leading that army of ghosts into fight the orcs. So that's awesome. That could be really cool in theory. This is one I want to see more on. That's a early 2018, like I said. So interested to see more. The gameplay appealed to me. I've heard kind of mixed reception of this one. A lot of people kind of passing it over, not that excited. I think I'm pretty excited for it, so that looks cool. Looking forward to that one. And then next is another one of their big announcements. We've seen this game before, but we finally got a release date for SteamWorld Dig 2, which is September 21st. The first SteamWorld Dig, a huge hit on 3DS and then later Wii U as well. Really fun, classic kind of, you're digging, so Dig Dug feel to it, but it's also Metroidvania style where you've got to find upgrades to progress further. And SteamWorld Dig 2 just looks to expand on all of that. You're trying to find Rusty, who was the main character in the first one. He's gone missing, and you're a new character looking for him. But you're like a robot, and the SteamWorld has become this whole... They have several games based on it. SteamWorld Heist, SteamWorld Dig, so all in this art style and with these kind of characters, this post-apocalyptic future. Really cool. So SteamWorld Dig 2 is definitely one I'm excited for. That and Golf Story in September. Indies have got September covered, really. So very excited about that. Really actually been trying to finish up Miitopia so I could go back and play the first SteamWorld again because it's not very long and I want to get a refresher on it before SteamWorld Dig 2, but Miitopia is the never-ending game, as we've been saying a bunch, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see. After SteamWorld Dig 2, we saw another new announcement for Switch, which was Mulaka.
This one looks good.
Yeah, this one piqued my interest and yours, both when we first watched this one. Because I think you see so much in these Nindie Directs, either isometric or 2D, to see a full 3D world was ooh, different, cool. So that didn't hurt. And it's set in this, different kind of landscape where you're a shape-shifting character and you're fighting with a spear. I saw him turn into a bird, into a bear.
Yeah,
other
me and you are
things.
both real into shape-shifting.
I love that. Yeah, I'm all about that. So that was definitely exciting. Also, in one of the other gameplay clips, I saw him turn into either like a leopard or a jaguar or something else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different stuff like that. It's action, kind of reminded me of Zelda, where it's like running around fighting. You could look like you could lock onto enemies, but not like Dark Souls complicated. But good fighting action in that. Open world, I saw platforming in videos they're doing and kind of puzzle solving. All of this looks great. I mean, it kind of sounds like a Zelda-ish game. With puzzle solving action and then the shape shifting as your powers and abilities, I would assume you'll probably unlock them as you go through the game. That would be the typical way to do it, not give you everything at the beginning, but hey, unlock your bird transformation, now you can get to new places. I'm hoping that's what it is, because I
really
love...
like this, what the purpose of the different bosses and stuff would be.
Yeah, maybe you can get
I wonder
a new
if you
one.
like get to choose, I wonder if it's guided, when you're forced to do one after another, or if you kind of get to choose. And
so like the Zelda changes, like before Breath of the Wild and before A Link Between Worlds, for a while Zelda were a set order, like Wind Waker you have to do it in this order, and Ocarina of Time it's in this order, but the oldest Zelda games and then the newest you could do whatever you want. Some are harder, but it's your choice. So it'd be cool if they do that too, who knows. The big thing for me, I'm going to play, that wouldn't be something that changed whether or not I was going to play it. I just want to see, does this run smoothly? Is it solid frame rate? Does it, not crashing, things like that? Because it does just kind of feel pretty ambitious for an indie title. A big 3D world.
I worry about the hitboxes.
And just little things, technical things, sure. So
that would make a game like that painful.
I think the big one for me, the biggest question beyond all of frame rate and hitboxes and everything is camera controls. Is it going to feel good? Are you going to see where you're going? Or is it going to be like some of the old 3D platformers outside of like Mario and Banjo-Kazooie that didn't get it right? Those two did, but a lot struggled for a long time with the camera. So we'll see. I mean, I did watch some gameplay from, I think it was Gamescom that I saw them playing at, and it looked pretty solid. Like it was running well. So I'm really excited for Mulaka. Very hopeful. That's definitely one that I want to pick up. That one, at this point, they have just said early 2018 as well. So not too far. Something in that first part of the year. Definitely one I want to check out. Then they followed that up with another strong one, I think for you in particular, was YOLO and the Celestial Elephants. Or Yono. This article, I have it wrong here, that's why I keep saying YOLO. You only live one Celestial Elephant. No, Yono and the Celestial Elephant. This one, like a...
Elephants.
Yeah, this is...
multiple celestial elephants.
Him and several other celestial elephants. And he just... I mean, the first thing that pops out is this elephant when you're playing. The
it's
art
cute.
style stuff. Yeah, I can't deny that it is. It's like a blue elephant, very cartoon style. But a top-down feel to it. I saw puzzle solving, a little bit of combat. It looked kind of basic on the combat, but I saw different things with him, like shooting a peanut out of his nose to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, he's got some type of ammo, water, fire. If
different things.
You name it, he can shoot it.
Yeah, it looked like it maybe,
trunk.
That could be situational. Maybe he has to pick those things up. Who knows? But
there's probably like a set amount of water that you can carry at any given time. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Sure, or a limited amount of time. Maybe like have that water in that room. Who knows? But either way, that looked really cool. It's kind of like your top-down Zelda-style looking game, Link Between Worlds. Those kind of puzzles and dungeons. It looks like. Yeah,
one point there's like a chicken on his back too,
yeah.
And a lot of the music, at least from the trailer, was like trumpet style, which
so fits with elephants.
Which I enjoyed because it's like he's got his own little band of elephants. Ragtime elephants playing the
definitely
trumpet their nose.
Appealing graphically, and then the puzzle solving looks fun.
Get it?
So, yeah, and that one they have said October 12th, so that's really soon as well. There's a lot of these. That's the cool thing is a lot of these indie games are soon. There was a couple 2018s, which you hope they make that, and then there were some early 2018s. Then a lot that's this end of the year, so a lot to look forward to soon, and things that I've never seen before, like Yono. So I was excited about that one. Then we also next they moved on to. We're getting there. There's a couple left. Dragon Marked for Death. And this is Inti Creates, so the people who made Blaster Master and other games that have been really successful on the Switch. Yeah, Blaster Master is great. I'll have to show you that. That's a good one. But this is a side-scrolling RPG co-op. It looks like you can have up to 4 players at once. All right, coming back in from that, Blaster Master got us both there for a second. I made eye contact with you, and then I was done because you were already laughing. But Dragon
I'm sorry,
Marked for
guys.
Death.
I have never heard that game before.
It's a classic.
The name just got after me tonight.
Sure. So, but they've been successful with that and some other games recently. So, a pretty well-respected developer now. They announced Dragon Marked for Death, which is coming winter. So, another one this year, or maybe the beginning of next year. Winter could be, I mean, that could be January, February as well. We'll see. But that was a 2D side-scrolling action RPG. Looked very Super Nintendo 16-bit style, but really great art. Like, it's that where they say 16-bit, but it's I don't think it's something that would have been possible in the Super Nintendo. It's like nicer now, HD 16-bit maybe or something like that. But definitely looks hand-drawn also. So some kind of mixture there. But cool. I mean, you can fight together. It looks like you play as like a witch or a warrior or different kind of characters as well. They showed off some of that, and when you're fighting, it does like the damage numbers above the enemy. So like Borderlands style. It's fun to see as you get stronger in an RPG. Those numbers get higher and higher. But cool that it's co-op and a respected developer. So I'm interested in that one. I think that would be something that'd be cool to check out as well. A lot of these games, are indie games that I do want to check out. So it's cool to see that much of that. Then they moved on to Battle Chef Brigade, which is holiday 2017. This is an Adult Swim, made game, published game. And this is the concept I love. This is the one where you are a chef and you have to go around and fight monsters and collect the monster parts and then take them back and cook them. Mm-hmm. Like these rare monster parts that you cook and serve meals. And there's the cooking is gameplay also. It's like a match 3 to cook the things well enough or not. Get a score like that. And then action 2D platforming action to collect the parts. Mm-hmm. So all of that is awesome.
See, this is the kind of cooking game that I like.
Yeah.
Not Overcooked.
Overcooked is great, but yes, we've not your thing. But this one looks cool. I love the idea. My main thing, actually, I guess I shouldn't say looks cool, because my main concern is that, again, it kind of looks Flash 2D animation. It doesn't look that solid, and even watching the gameplay clips, it looks like there could be frame rate struggles. Now, they're still working on it. I'm just a little iffy about how well the game is going to come out. I love the idea. It's like Monster Hunter, but for cooking, not for gear. And I think that's so cool. And I guess there's several different campaigns as these different, each chef has like their own story you get to go through. And they're like rise to the prominence as this great chef of rare things. I think that's cool. And like one of them's like an orc. I mean, like just weird things. But I'm a little worried about the gameplay and stuff. I'll wait to hear impressions, but this one I'm on the fence on, not because of the idea. The idea is awesome, but just what I've seen.
Yeah, I hope they make like the recipes fun.
Yeah, like just
like
interesting
funny.
Things. Yeah, I'm sure there's so much potential for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that remains to be seen, but kind of want them to keep my eye on, but maybe a little less. I'm not sold yet. Then we moved on to Morphe's Law, which is getting a lot of attention. That is the shooter. 4v4. It looked graphically pretty impressive.
With the heads and the thighs.
Yeah, the body growing. Yeah, so it looks like Day of the Dead kind of skeleton characters. Mm-hmm. And, it says like after the fall of humanity, these guys are still around.
Yeah.
And they're fighting. And the concept, the big idea behind it is it's a third-person shooter. But when you shoot someone, say you shoot them in the head, their head shrinks and your head grows. You gain the mass. Or if you shoot them in the legs, their legs shrink and then your legs grow. Amazing concept, because think about it, like they explain, if you are losing, if you're bad at a shooter and you're getting shot a lot, you are becoming really small and therefore a hard target to hit. So it like gives you kind of an advantage to come back.
It's weird because it kind of like it's different because it like punishes the
person doing well.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah. But then if you're doing well, you also have to be really strategic and making sure if you're losing, you're shooting somebody in the arms or something where they like find it difficult to walk or hold. Because that was a thing with some. If you like shoot them in the legs, they can't like walk. If their body's too big.
So it goes both ways. Like they can become slower, I think, when they get big, but they also can get like powers. Like if you power up the legs enough, they could do like this extra, like a double jump boost in the air and things too. So it does, I think, balance it out in that way. But you do become bigger. And now why? It reminds
me of that. It reminds me. It reminds me of that game that we played, Animal Crossing, where you eat the candy.
Oh yeah,
and your head gets big.
Nintendo Land.
Yeah,
Animal
and
Crossing,
you get sluggish.
Yeah, the candy one. Yeah, we love that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Now,
or like it punishes you for being good.
Mm-hmm. Now you might say, well, why would you want to gain mass? Why don't you just let them shoot you and then you can have the advantage? Because the whole purpose of the game in the end, when time runs out, is every time you gain mass, it adds mass to like this huge idol, this giant that is your team's color, and there's one for their team color. And whoever is bigger in the end wins. So whichever team has more mass,
it's kind of like that Splatoon thing too, where you really don't know until the end.
It'll be like a little reveal of who won. Yeah, I definitely heard a lot of people compare it to Splatoon. I don't think the gameplay is a lot like Splatoon, but a different...
No, I just mean like the mechanism of like how you discover that you win. Like
making a shooter have a different concept. All right, we had a brief pause there. We have the dogs got a little bit excited about a noise there, and we have an extra dog right now too. So a lot of barking ensued. I think you'll probably hear one at least there. But wrapping that up on Morphe's Law, I mean, I think it's a great concept. It's interesting. I'm not sure. This is another one that I'm not sold yet. There is excitement, which I think is great. For me, like right now, I'm kind of like, we'll see. If it gets really good impressions, I might check it out, or if not, I may just stick with Splatoon, and I'd be fine with that. But who knows? And a cool idea. I really hope it works out well with shooters. I mean, especially from an indie developer, it's so important that it has a stable frame rate and things are balanced and all that, and the hit detection and then the shot detection has to be really good. So there's a lot that goes into that. That's why you don't see a lot of indie first or third person shooters, because it takes a good bit of development, I think, to get those things worked out, and they're usually kind of expensive. So we'll see how that goes, but a great concept, certainly. Then after that, they moved into the very weird and different Sausage Sports Club, which was like these sausage animals. They were like, it could be like a giraffe or a lizard or a dog, and they have extremely long necks no matter what, if they're a giraffe or not. And they're like running around. It's funny looking. Like, it reminded me, like, the dogs made me think of like Adventure Time and Jake, like stretching out his neck or something, running around, but you're like trying to bounce off of each other and like push everyone else into the spikes, or looked like there was a competing running around and like inking turf under your feet, like Splatoon-esque. Different modes. It's a party game. You can have 8 players at once, I think, locally or online.
Party game. I think you and I are always looking for that.
Yeah, we'd love that. I mean, this, as much as it seems just completely silly and stupid at first, it is one of those that if I picked it up, I know that I could go down and we could play with my family or your family, and like parents could pick up and run around as a dog.
Because it's not serious.
Yeah, it's just fun.
And that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm. Cracked me up so much though that in the Nintendo Direct, like one of the last things they say is, and you can move the Joy-Con around to shake their necks and make them shake their heads. So I'm just gonna be like shaking it constantly. I'm gonna be like headbanging a dog.
Wiggling around.
Just the fact that they put that in there, that was probably the thing that got them talked about in the Direct, because you can tell Nintendo looks for, hey, what did you do special for this game for Switch? And it was probably that. It was like, okay.
Yeah, but if you shake the Joy-Con, you can jiggle it.
Yeah, kind of funny, super weird looking, but we'll see.
I always like that they do like little fun, quirky, like goofy stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. You can get like unlock hats for the animals and stuff. I could see if there's like a turtle and I can give them like a cool hat. I might be sold. Who knows?
Or a hippo.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. A long neck hippo.
With tiny little ears.
So maybe this is another one. If it's cheap enough and if it has some good impressions, I might pick it up as a party game. Who knows? Then we had Light Fingers, which is one that I don't have too much to say on yet. A cool concept. It's a straight up board game, like almost like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but virtually. You roll the dice and then things happen and your characters encounter things like RPG style and you have to make decisions. I don't know. It seems very complex. It was like the board game was moving around. It reminded me of the Game of Thrones intro where there's like the big gears and everything's turning and like the world's being built. So maybe that one was just said as early 2018. Definitely need to see more about it. Not sure yet. Then moving on from that was Nine Parchments. Is one that I know you were excited about. We have 2 left. Nine Parchments is Holiday 2017. This is made by the developers of Trine. So
I'm so excited about this game.
Yeah, we love Trine.
I love
we played
Trine.
that a lot. Yeah, Trine and Trine 2. Great games.
We finally made it all the way through.
Yeah, it took us a while. We kind of would get pretty far and then stop playing and then play with someone new, so we'd start over.
This year, less than a year ago, we did.
Yeah, playing with James was great. Very fun. We played through that on the Wii U. But now, Nine Parchments coming to the Switch. This is I believe up to 4 player as well. Co-op game, kind of Diablo-esque. You're all a wizard and you play and you go through and fight. So it's like that isometric view, but if you were playing Diablo and everyone had to be a wizard, but you could cast different spells. Looks really cool. Graphically, I love the design of
about this.
The world. They knocked that out of the park. In Trine, the background and world was so beautiful to look at. The same thing. The enemy design is great. The characters you play as, I think, might be the weakest design point, but you brought up, it doesn't really matter because you can't see their details that much because they're kind of small on screen. Yeah. So I'll give you that. I agree. But I wasn't excited by any of their designs. When I saw the character select, it was kind of like, okay.
Oddly enough, that's not something that I've ever been drawn. That's not ever been a make it or break it for me in a game, is especially like when it came to Diablo and stuff, I never cared what I looked like.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I get what you're saying. For me, I feel like it's a huge thing.
You're always dyeing your clothes and stuff.
And I'm like, the reason I play the Witch Doctor is because it looks cool. Like that's what it's all about. Like Bayonetta, a huge appeal of that is like the character is cool. Like that just really matters for me.
I've never. Yeah. That has never been I always look like a hobo next to you.
Yeah, you would like. You're like, I'm like, you should change your gear out. And you're like, I don't care. And I'm like, but no, it's a lot better. You're like, yeah, I'll get to it later. Okay. Like you would change your weapon, but you did not care about anything else. If your damage was high,
I was still wearing a loincloth.
So I got a sweet weapon. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, no, I don't. know if that's the strongest point of the game, but I don't think that matters at all. Super excited about Nine Parchments. Heard good things. Another holiday game, one that will be great for co-op. I know we'll probably be playing this with James if he, whenever we get to play something again locally. It looks like an awesome co-op game. They also said online as well, just like Trine. You could play that online as well too. So if you're just by yourself,
yeah,
you can pick it up and play with some people online. Because the one negative I've heard is if you were playing by yourself, you're not going to get far. Because from what I've heard, at least right now, they're not really scaling the difficulty for one wizard on their own. So you're going to get kind of crushed. If you're by yourself, you need some help. So maybe if you don't have anyone to play with locally, it's good they have the online option as well. And then the final announcement, the big thing they did at the end of this Nindie Direct was they showed off No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, which is right now just said as 2018. It's not No More Heroes 3. It's something different. At first I was like, I don't know what this is at all, because the trailer was just very cinematic and showed you some cool things. Then they get sucked into this evil video game console and have to beat 4 bosses there to escape it and survive. So I'm like, this is like Sword Art Online, and I don't know what's going on. And then they talked about these indie collaborations, and I was like, is it just indie games like Hotline Miami and Shovel Knight? They've announced they're collaborating with them. But then Suda, the developer, said, well, no, you can get t-shirts for Shovel Knight for Travis, and he's like, it is, or for Hotline Miami, but it's still a third-person action game, and then some influence of those. So maybe the bosses are influenced by those games. I have no idea. Or maybe you fight Shovel Knight. Who knows? But still a third-person action game, but not No More Heroes 3. They said if this is successful, they would want to make No More Heroes 3. Who knows? But either way, a lot of excitement around this one. No More Heroes 1 and 2 were huge on the Wii. Very beloved kind of cult hits, I would say. But this one looked cool. I mean, the trailer they showed off, the art style was awesome. If it looked something like that cel-shaded look they had to that, very cool. What did you think of the No More Heroes? I know that, for you, no exposure to it before, so it's probably something brand new.
I don't know. I didn't know what to think about it.
It has that punk style. He kind of gets beat up by the bat, and he's fighting with the lightsaber style weapon. I'm excited. If it is third person action, like they said after it, during it, I didn't think it was gonna be, but then after the fact, they've said it is. So that has me more excited. Really cool. I want more No More Heroes. The old 1 and 2 were awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about more. We'll just kind of see. They say 2018.
It was just hard to say. It was hard to kind of figure out what it was going to be like.
Yeah, it is. Still, I mean, they haven't shown gameplay yet. So until they do, I'm not sure. This could go so many different directions. That is where I'm a little hesitant. And, it says this was 2018 in general, not early 2018, not anything. And they didn't show gameplay. So at this point, I'm kind of like, I hope it makes 2018. It could be even later. Who knows? This one just feels further off because they didn't show much. But either way, so many indie games there. Then outside of the Direct, we also saw a bunch of other things announced, like Oxenfree is coming to the Switch, that paranormal adventure game that was a huge indie hit on Xbox and PlayStation last year. Harmonix announced the Super Beat Sports for Nintendo. Harmonix really famous for some of their rock band and rhythm bands in the past. So some really cool things being announced. Beyond that, it really seems like the Switch is a great place for indies. I also know that game Away coming out that's looks like Skyrim but anime style action that you go through. The characters are very cel shaded and things. That looks really cool. We saw Tiny Metal, which is kind of something that people have really been wanting, an Advanced War style game. So many indie games announced for the Switch, and that looks great. It really seems like we said that Switch is providing this awesome opportunity for indie developers, and I hope that continues because it's great support to have in between the big Nintendo releases and then the third-party releases that they do get, which we've talked about is less common than other consoles, but these indie games are definitely filling out the gaps. Now, on that same note, we've talked about how the 3DS is still doing well. Just real briefly, I want to mention that we saw Atui, who is a new developer. It's Jules Watson there. They've released a lot of big hits on the 3DS, like Mutant Mudds and things like that in the past. They recently released Chicken Wiggle, which I think looks really cool. It kind of gave me that Banjo-Kazooie. You control a chicken with a worm in its backpack, 2D platformer on 3DS, and I guess after the first couple of days, he got sales reports and was devastated by how low they were because he's a really well-known developer, and he thought there's got to be a mistake, because they were so much lower than he thought, and other friends that he talked to said, yeah, it's got to be a mistake, and it wasn't. And he's kind of disappointed, but it seems like he said, I think that the indie fan base for Nintendo has moved on from 3DS to Switch, and I think he's right. I love him as a developer, and I love Mutant Mudds and things, and I didn't pick it up. It was one of those that I thought I might eventually, but I just didn't. If it was on Switch, I think I would have. I hope they port it to Switch. They haven't said so far. They have said
That's sad.
They have said that Mutant Mudds is coming to Switch soon and things, and he's a big Nintendo fan, so I think he's going to stick around. I think Mutant Mudds will do great on Switch, and I hope they bring this one over too. It looked really cool. It has like the 2D levels, and it has a level creator, kind of Mario Maker style in that way. Yeah, it is. It's a little sad and unfortunate here. I hope that, everything is still great
It just
for
sucks
them.
that he was like, that has to be a mistake. And then
How disappointing. Because, everything I've heard, the reviews for the game are good. It's a good game, good to great. So,
shame on you, Nintendo fans.
he was a little disappointed in Nintendo, too. He did note that he didn't feel like they promoted it that well in the eShop. Like, when you opened up the eShop, it wasn't, like, right there, and he kind of felt like with the releases recently on 3DS, it probably could have been, or should have been. So that's unfortunate. I hope, if bring it to Switch. I'll definitely pick it up there. He said it's going to be on sale this coming week on 3DS. It was $14.99 at launch, and he says because the sales have been so low, they're going to do it for $9.99 for a short sale time period. So hopefully, more people will pick it up, and hopefully we see this game live on. Sad story there, but I agree with his, statement that I think
me too, absolutely.
the indie crowd has moved on. The hardcore group that's going to buy a ton of games and really support a lot of these indies are going to be the people who've already bought a Switch. Not like the younger kids who still have 3DSs and can't wait for Pokemon and things to come out, which is great, but I don't think they're really booting up the eShop to buy these kind of games. Just not what's going to happen. So bring it to Switch. I think it'll get supported there. All right, and then finally, we're going to move on to our what we've been playing. Excited about it this week. Some cool things to talk about. Quick note, if you hear we've had some dogs snoring and barking, I know already. If you hear music in the background, there's a neighborhood party tonight that we're not attending. But you hear some Bruno Mars right now. If that comes through, I guess enjoy. I don't know, background music. But with that, what we've been playing, the big one, certainly, I'm going to start there, is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I've had it for about a week. I've already put in, I think, 17 or 18 hours, so that I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Certainly, this is one that when the reviews started coming out last week, I was like, it's reviewing really well. It's better than I expected. And then once I've played it, I love it so much more than I expected. Your XCOM style turn-based combat is great. The characters in it, so much personality and love went into this. It feels, the best compliment I can give Ubisoft is this feels like a Nintendo game. They pulled that off. They lent them Mario to use, and they pulled it off. It feels Nintendo quality. It feels like that character is there. So that's so awesome. I was a little worried about that, mixing with the Rabbids and everyone's concerns they had there. Could not feel more different about that now. I think the Rabbids pulled this off awesome. Like, they're great. They're fun.
I know. They're really funny.
Yeah.
Just like the little antics that go on between them.
Just silliness, craziness in the world. It's like, it is weird. The Rabbids are weird, no doubt. But in the Mushroom Kingdom, it just kind of is fun to see these things. See like Goombas like caught in toothpaste honey and stuff like throughout the world, and just like weird things happening because of the Rabbids. I don't want to spoil anything major, but there is one point in the game that made me laugh that I think kind of shows what it could be like or give you an idea. Is there's one part after a boss battle, I won't say any more about it, but Rabbid Peach, she loves to take selfies. She's taking pictures of herself with the defeated boss in the background. And then after that, it's her and Rabbid Luigi are like all excited looking at the pictures on her phone, and they're laughing and giggling. And then like Luigi tries to like kind of look over their shoulders, and they both like look at him with like an angry face. And they're like, no. And they like shift away and don't let him look. And then he's like trying to sneak around in the background. All while Mario is like actually doing something important. This is all just like happening behind them. So it's really funny. That, and then there's another part. Anytime Peach is around Mario, Rabbid Peach will like stand in between them and like push Peach further back, like nudge her back further, like Mario's hers, not Peach's. And it's just like weird, but so silly. It really adds a lot to it. There's a lot of variety in the combat, at least this far. I'm in the third world. There are 4 total. I would be further if it were not for I've been doing, after you beat a world, they do challenge maps where you can go back and do 10 challenges per world, and I did all of those for World 1 and 2. I've heard some people say you can wait and do them when you're stronger, but I love the challenge. They're fun. They are hard. Like, I've had to retry them some because they can be really brutal at times, like just knocking you down. But I've enjoyed doing that, so I've been going back and doing everything. I clear out everything I can before I move on. That's definitely completionist with this kind of thing. But I love exploring it. My only thing that I'll say is, like, I've been playing this portably and on the TV with the Switch. The only time I don't want to play it is if I'm like, well, I only have 10 minutes. It's such a deep dive. There's so much to the character and to the game and to the world that I'm like, I don't want to play this for only 10 minutes. I need like at least 45 minutes or longer to like really dive in. So I've been playing Miitopia if I have just 10 minutes and not this. Because it's, I think that's a compliment though to how engrossing the world can be.
Yeah.
The music, awesome. You're same composer as Banjo-Kazooie, Grant Kirkhope. I love the music in it. There's little, things that you catch. throwbacks to other games, and you have some of the Mario tunes you recognize mixed with new things. And it's I've progressed in the game, I think the music has gotten better and better. So many positive things to say about this game. I really, really would stress, if you have a Switch and you are hesitant about this game because of the Rabbids, don't let that deter you. I love it, including the Rabbids. They're a part that I love about it, and I did not like the Rabbids before this, so don't let that deter you. This game is super worth it. This is one of the strongest games in the Switch's library so far.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Zelda. Zelda's been the pretty clear best game in the Switch library this far, but it's up there right after that, certainly. It's so much more fun than I expected. This is a game that I thought, it'd be cool to kind of mess around with, and I'll probably play through it because I love the Mario aspect and things, but now it's more becoming a game that in my, top 5, top 10 games of the year, I think it's going to be in that discussion, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So it is that good. It's very solid, and I've seen the impressions of others agree, and there's a reason to that. It's building up because it is that good. So again, if you are a Switch owner and you are looking for something to play, this game has something for everyone, I think. It does a good job of teaching you this combat if you're not into the turn-based. It's very active turn-based fighting because it's more like XCOM where you have these different abilities you can use, and as enemies start to run, your characters can take shots at them if you use Hero Sight and things like that. It's not as strategic and laid back as Fire Emblem is. It's not as much like a chess game. It's very strategic still, but it doesn't feel as much like chess. It feels a little more free-moving, and like you can accomplish a little bit more, and you can move around a lot. So it's just different. I mean, I love Fire Emblem, not a knock on it, but it's not quite like that. If that's what you've heard it compared to, it's a little different, a little more active, I would say. So there's a lot to do there. The characters have such cool abilities. I've really changed my party around. One thing I noticed very early on, which a lot of people like myself will probably try to do, you unlock characters slowly. I started with Mario, Rabbid Luigi, and Rabbid Peach. Then I got Luigi, added him to my party right away. Then I finally got Peach and was like, okay, I'm going Mario, Peach, and Luigi. I thought it was really funny that the game does not let you do that. You have to have at least one Rabbid in your party at all times. I think a lot of Nintendo fans would be like,
they would have just been like,
see ya to all the rabbits, I'll never use them again. And this just becomes a game where you're shooting rabbits because they're the enemies. It doesn't let you do that. And for a second, I was disappointed, but then not really in the end, because I've become really attached to... I've heard a lot of people say they like Rabbid Peach, and I think she's funny. She's a good character as a healer, but the one that's really, I think, the secret, super strong character, if you're looking for a tip, is Rabbid Luigi. He's got that vamp ability where he can... this vampire kind of thing where if he slides through an enemy, it puts this effect on them that anyone that attacks them can steal health back. So he's acting as my healer, even though he doesn't directly heal. I'm using that status to let all my other party members heal up when they need to. He is awesome. He is really good. So he's been kind of a mainstay for me, and I've actually been switching back and forth. You can't take Mario out of the party, and you have to have a Rabbid. So I've had him most of the time, and I've been switching back and forth with Peach and Luigi depending on what I need for the map, because Luigi is a sniper character, which is awesome, sniping with the vacuum from Luigi's Mansion. And then Peach uses a shotgun, right? This is funny. But Peach uses like a shotgun weapon, so if you have a bunch of enemies in a small area, she's the way to go. If it's a little bit more open and there's different elevations, I pick Luigi. So mixing it up like that definitely exceeded my expectations. 18 hours in, this is the game I'm looking forward to. Like if I have free time, that's what I'm looking forward to playing. So definitely play more of it this week. Maybe get close to the end. I don't know how incredibly long it is. I feel like if I put that much time in again, I might be able to have some final impressions next week. We'll see. But even if that was the case, I think this is one, give it a year and a half, I would come back to. I enjoy it that much. It kind of reminds me of on the Wii U, Pikmin 3 was early on in its lifetime, and just throughout that, I enjoyed that game so much, and it remained one of my favorite Wii U games to this day. I would put it as one of the top 3 Wii U games. Rabbids reminds me of that a little bit. I like it that much, and it's early in the Switch's life cycle, so it's cool to see such a strong exclusive that's not first party. Again, this is not a Nintendo game. This is made by Ubisoft. I would love to see Nintendo get more of this kind of support. You see this like Mario and Rabbids. We'll see Fire Emblem Warriors, which again is not made by Nintendo, but they let them use the Fire Emblem characters, much like here. They let Ubisoft use the Mario characters. It's turned out so well. I would love to see them make a sequel to this game eventually in a couple years. That would be something I'd be excited for. So great, cool expansion as a new IP for Nintendo there, made by Ubisoft. I hope it does really well. I think it will. I definitely think Ubisoft deserves that on this one. And then beyond that, I've also been playing more Miitopia. As I've said a lot, I've finally gotten pretty far in the game now, where I'm starting to get a lot more party members active at one time. So if you've played it, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about there. But it takes some things away, and then finally getting some party members back. I still enjoy it a lot. And now you've got a lot more choices and things I can make as far as who I want to take out on these adventures. Before it was just, these are the ones you have and that's it. So I've enjoyed it. one of the best things is I played so many hours of this game, but without figuring out, probably 15 hours before I figured out that you could hold down your finger on the touch screen when your characters are exploring and when they're fighting, and it does like a fast forward. And that's not a knock on it, but a lot of RPGs I like to speed up after you've seen it a lot. Like people do that with Fire Emblem, where they take the animations of fighting out and it kind of speeds up the battles after a while. I don't do that with Fire Emblem actually, but I know a lot of people do. So that kind of same idea, that's kind of given me new breath on this game. Still playing through that one. I'm almost 30 hours into Miitopia, and I don't think I'm quite done. I know it can be a lot longer than that. So slowly just been putting time into that one when I have, like I said, shorter amounts of time to play. I've enjoyed that, or if I'm really tired and don't want to think as much, it's an easy game to just kind of pick up and have some laughs with how the characters interact and play through a little bit. And then the other one, the third and final thing I want to talk about for what I've been playing, I didn't get to too much Agents of Mayhem this week. I started that one. Going to come back to it, but didn't get to it too much. I've actually had kind of a second wind of interest into Fire Emblem Heroes. So that is the mobile phone game, Fire Emblem Heroes. I know you checked that one out a little bit when it first came out, but I don't think you were staying around too long.
That wasn't really, it's not really my type of game.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at that, like, strategic chess style.
I know, you give me a lot of kind of flack for Fire Emblem sometimes. Like, why do you like this?
I think if I was good at it, I would like it, but I'm just not very good at that.
Yeah,
Those type of, like,
curve.
Yeah.
But I love that, it reminds me, like I
I'm
said
really
about...
good at them smart people games.
No, it's not even that. It's just you got to learn the ins and outs, what works and what doesn't. But it reminds me of like the virtual chess that you can play in either Star Wars that Chewbacca plays or like the chess in Harry Potter, that kind of like living chess. That's why I like so much about it. But this one, very small scale battles, 4-on-4 at most, which these are quick battles. You finish these in a couple minutes, where if you're playing a normal Fire Emblem game, you can have huge scale battles that's like, this is a 30-minute investment, and then someone dies at the very end that you don't want to die, so you shut your game off real quick and lose all that progress. Because if you don't know this about Fire Emblem, you either shut it off and restart, or that character is dead forever. So, and you become kind of attached to him. You don't want that to happen. So, but in Fire Emblem Heroes, they don't die forever, so you don't have that stress, and it's quicker battles. But I've gotten back into that. I think when the game first came out, I was super into it, getting new heroes all the time without paying any money, just because you would get the orbs. And then I felt like after it was out for a month or two, they stopped giving orbs out that much. So you weren't getting those daily when you logged in. You could get other things, and then I couldn't unlock heroes as much, and it kind of made me lose interest. But as it's hit, it's been out for a little while. They've really started celebrating the anniversary things for it. I think it's 6-month anniversary, and they're giving out orbs a lot just for logging in. You can get several for logging in, so I've started to unlock a lot more characters again, and just really enjoying playing that again. I think that's actually been my favorite Nintendo effort on mobile phone. Mario Run I liked, but I actually haven't even completely beaten yet. I just played every once in a while here and there. And then Miitomo I didn't really get into all that much. Miitopia I do like, but not Miitomo so much on the phone. But Fire Emblem Heroes is cool. If I don't have a Switch or 3DS one with me and I'm out, or I'm in the car and you're driving or things like that, I'll pick that one up and play through that. So still enjoying that, but clearly most of my time this week was spent with Mario and Rabbids, and that's what I'm going to play. Like if I have time tonight, that's the one I'm going to be playing. That's what I'm into right now. It's definitely kept my attention. That one's really fun. So more impressions on that next week, I'm sure, but I've been really happy with it. Exceeded expectations. Again, recommend that one fully. But I think that wraps us up for this week. We thank you again for joining us. We'll be back next week with more impressions and whatever news comes out. There's still plenty happening this time of year. Plenty of new releases, things to discuss. So we'll be back next week. Thanks again for joining us.
Bye.